Awesome. Pops Mohamed, welcome to my channel. Thank you very much for agreeing to do this, and we're just going to have a nice little informal sit down and chat about all things. And firstly, I just want to say it's been 14 years since I saw you. We worked together on a project called Without the King.
Without the King, yeah, that's right.
On which you played Kalimba. I remember you played Kora.
Kora as well, yeah.
And I think you might have done some Umrube as well.
Umrube, yes, I did that, yes.
Yeah. I also want to say, you and I both have an incredible distinction.
Yeah.
We both come from Benoni. We're both born in Benoni.
Yeah, Benoni boykies.
You, me, Charlize Theron, and Oliver Tambo, right?
Oliver Tambo. Kaifas Semenya also grew up in Benoni, most of his life, yes.
Right.
So there's been lots of heroes. I mean, we also had a very popular jazz group, I just forgot the name of them, from Davidton as well.
Was that the group that Johnny Mekwa was in?
That's right, yes.
Forget the name. But yeah. So Johnny Mekwa and I went to university together, and we were in the same dorm together.
Okay.
And we were both, we used to share a paraffin stove to cook dinner and stuff.
Yeah. Yes.
So we were both at the jazz school for the same years, actually.
Yeah.
Man, Benoni, man.
Yeah, Benoni, yeah. There's a lot of history there.
So, let's take a little bit of a look at how you got into music. I know Johnny used to talk about Dorkay House a lot, and I know that was a great breeding ground.
Yeah, it was.
And you were there too, right?
I was there too. I studied guitar there,
Yeah.
We used to play, our tutor was a German guy, very good guitar player, Gilbert Strauss, I'll never forget his name. And we used to take guitar lessons, and our heroes were the Shadows.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm still a big Shadows fan.
Wow.
And we used to take lessons playing Shadows songs, tunes from the Shadows,
Wow.
And from there it started growing. I think I must have been there for about 2 years. I left Dorkay House, and then I started looking for other adventures, and I started a band, my very first band ever, called the Les Valiants.
Okay.
I was the lead guitarist in that band, and that carried on for quite a while. That was like in the late 60s into the 70s.
Okay.
And I joined another band afterwards in Johannesburg. It was called Society's Children, sort of more advanced, getting into like the big thing. But I wasn't playing music full time then. I was working, I was from the working class. So music was a weekend thing.
Right.
From there it moved on. I joined different bands, doing experimenting, different things. Until
all the time playing guitar?
Playing guitar, yes. It was only after June 1976 that I decided that I want to start exploring indigenous instrument as part of the struggle in South Africa.
So is that because of the uprising?
Yes, yeah.
Is that where your impetus came from to start looking?
To start looking at a different area, to say, all right, what my part will be for the struggle, that is to preserve and protect indigenous instruments, So
so how did that begin for you, and how did it start? Did you just say, well, gee, I should probably go and look at the bow, or how did it sort of start for you?
I looked at the Mbira first.
Okay.
This instrument, I looked at that, and I think I was very impressed with Johnny Clegg at the time, because he was then promoting Zulu music, and I think he also played umkhube, mouth bow.
There's actually a video I found on YouTube of him making one.
Oh, really?
Making
you should send me that link.
I'll send it to you. And there's another one of him making it's not a makoyani, but it's something similar.
Yeah.
There's another one with one of his kids, I can't remember which one. It was really like this small.
Yeah.
And he's making this bow out of something that he just, bamboo that he picked out of the garden.
Yeah. I've also made a bow, which I'll show you later in the program. Okay. I just finished it yesterday. So I'd love to see. Send me that.
I'll send
link.
it to you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think my influence came from there as well. Wow, this is different. And it's like any instrument that I could put my hands on, you know, just to I started loving the indigenous instruments because they were so different.
And how did you? So in those days, this was before Google or internet.
No, there wasn't.
How did you sort of get into it? Or?
You sort of, I mean, when you go into a village, you find people who are playing the instrument. You ask them, like, I'd love to play this instrument. And most of these people who were playing indigenous instruments, they were only too happy to see, you know, a young boy coming from the city wanting to play our instrument, you know, because it was hard for them to teach their kids or to keep them in the tradition because the children were more looking at Western music and so forth, you see. So they were only too happy to help you. And that's how it went, you know.
And did you find that you had to go into more rural areas to find these instruments? Or did they sort of exist already?
I got help from Andrew Tracy.
Okay.
He introduced me to the Xhosa people in the Eastern Cape.
Okay.
And that's why I got to know about the mkhube and uhadi and all those boat instruments that they were using. So it was quite fascinating that, you know, I learned from them and I buy instruments from them. And when I come home, I just make a big collection. Like I've got a whole collection in this room of different instruments, you know. And that's how it continued, you know, just meeting. And when somebody goes overseas, I would tell them, look, if you find any indigenous instrument, indigenous to that particular country, please bring it for me, you know.
So your interest is beyond indigenous instruments that speak to your to where you come from. It goes beyond. Like you're interested in no matter where in the world.
Yeah, because I didn't grow up playing indigenous instruments, you know. So it was my interest, you know. And I started loving it, you know, checking these things out, you know. It became much more easier also when internet came in because then you could explore. But I even went as far as the Kalahari desert to learn how to play the Khoisan mouthbow, which I will show you later in the program as well.
Okay.
And learn about the culture, you know, the food that they eat and what they use, medicine stuff from plants and things like that. Plants that can, you know, if you have a headache, there's a plant that you just suck and the headache just goes. And so many things that I've learned from them, you know. And they are a big part, I'd say, their music and their culture is a very big part of me at the moment because they are being threatened, their culture is being threatened, it's becoming, you know, it's very hard that governments are trying to move them out of the regions where they're living and trying to get them to live in townships and things like that. Gotcha. So that's just to get rid of their cultures and things. Yeah. Well, fortunately, the people want to remain in the desert. That's their way of life, you know. Yeah. They're hunters and gatherers. And although they're not allowed to hunt anymore, they still find a way somehow to go and hunt, you know. Yeah.
And I suppose it's the same with music making, you know, it's disappearing in their culture. And if it's not for people outside of that world, like yourself, who picks that up, and Dizu Plaikas is another one who picks these things up and tries to carry them, they get lost.
Yeah. So I was an instrument collector, you know, collecting instruments. We went to Zanzibar, we went to perform there, and they also have their own indigenous instruments like this one.
Wow, that's fascinating. So it's like two in one.
Yes, 2 in 1.
Are they tuned equally? Both of these?
I think they tune equally. forgot what they call it, but there was a man, Zawose, a very popular, great musician who was signed to Peter Gabriel's label. And he made his own instruments. You know, this is what he had bought. I mean,
wow, it's cool.
There are even bigger ones of these instruments. So, but they also built so many different indigenous instruments. You know? Yeah. I forgot his name, man. Zawose. I mean, this was his surname, as you can see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zawose.
Ukwe Zawose, I think his name was. He used to go out to places like Finland and all that to do workshops. Unfortunately, he passed on, but I think his son, two of his sons have passed on, but he's got other kids as well who are still following their father's tradition and performing the instruments, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But you are signed to Peter Gabriel's label. Great musician, fantastic, amazing guy he was. Yeah.
It's a really great sound. That I noticed the box in it, the resonator on it, is a lot bigger than any of the others, and what you would normally find.
Yeah. So I mean, the Mbiras, it's a very big family. You know, the original Mbira actually comes from Zimbabwe,
right?
As we all know, and from there it spread it into other parts of the world, other parts of Africa. And people had their own ways of making the Mbira, shaping them differently, and naming it differently. And I think in East Africa they would call it a Sanza.
Right.
You know?
Right. And then the name Kalimba came
from Andrew Tracy. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
From his dad.
Yeah. Hugh Tracy. Yeah. So this is the Kalimba.
And the Kalimba is really just an Mbira diatonically tuned.
Yes. So here we have, unfortunately this one is not tuned, but this is the original Mbira.
Okay.
You see?
Okay.
So you can see the shape over here, and then you can see the shape over here, how it goes that way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So they only have that portion. There's no, you know, in this one you don't have a bottom row, you know, but this is the whole idea. You can see it's got that sort of shape.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I wish I could play it, but it's not tuned in. But this is the original Mbira, and then another one close to that one is the 15-note Mbira, which is called a Karimba.
Okay.
So Karimba, as you can see now, this one is pretty much closer to this one.
Right. It's got the double.
It's got the double.
Set
you
there.
See. It's called the Karimba, the African tuned Karimba, 15-note Karimba, which is very popular. And it comes in a calabash. They play it in a calabash. You know, there's a box, a resonator.
Yes, as they do with the Mbira.
Yes, so it comes into a resonator. Yeah. This is what they call the African tuned Karimba.
Okay.
So from the word Karimba, this one, when this one was made, they call it a Kalimba, not a Karimba.
Gotcha. Because this is actually a recent development, right?
Yes,
the Kalimbas,
yes.
As you said, it was an Andrew Hugh Tracy.
Yeah, but this particular one is based on the African one.
Okay.
The 15-note Nyunga, but this one has been manufactured.
Okay.
But it's played exactly the same.
As the Mbira.
As the Mbira,
right.
You know, the 15-note Mbira,
right.
Yeah. So have you noticed that this melody that I'm playing, so as soon as I start pinching the notes at the top, it sounds, but I'm playing exactly the same notes.
I noticed that. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, so I pinch because this is an octave higher.
Gotcha.
You see?
Yeah. Okay, so those are in octaves.
They're octaves.
So you can.
So if I play this melody, and when I start playing the octaves, it sounds like a completely different tune. Now I'm going to pinch. So I'm improvising now. Now I'm just sliding my finger on the notes.
Yeah. Karimba.
Yeah, yes.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
I've never seen that before. I've never seen these in octaves like that. Is that a standard tuning for Karimba?
Yes, for the Nyunga, they call it the Nyunga.
Okay.
The one that's handmade.
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately, I don't have it with me.
Yeah.
But it's exactly the same as this.
Yeah. Just more rustic.
This is in A major.
Okay.
But the standard one, the standard tuning is in F major.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's the one that Diesel plays.
Okay.
That comes in the calabash.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's good. So you can. So with the octaves, you can either slide your fingers. Across both, or pick it like you did, pinch it.
Yes, and play
or just
chords.
play them separately.
You can play chords as well. You know.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And then we have another family of the Mbira, which is called the Kalimba. Like I said earlier on, this is named after this one. That's a Karimba. Mm-hmm. This is a Kalimba, which was manufactured by the Tracy family, you know. And this one is amazing because it's got two holes at the back where you could sort of, you know. salam, oh salam, oh salam, Namibia, oh salam, Burundi, oh salam, Namibia, Burundi, Malawi, Palestine, oh salam, Afrika du Sud, Afrika du Sud, oh Afrika du Sud, Afrika du Sud, oh Afrika du Sud, Afrika du Sud, oh Afrika du Sud, Afrika du Sud, dunia, 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 oh salam, oh salam, oh salam. So
Beautiful, beautiful.
This is a song giving peace to Mother Earth.
Okay.
And then the countries that I mentioned that's been affected with conflict.
Right.
You know.
And dunya, what is that?
It means Mother Earth. It means Earth. Dunya
In what
means
language?
In Arabic.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is one of my songs.
Oh, this is something you wrote?
Yeah, something I
fantastic.
wrote. Yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
And then here's another shape. Here's another kalimba. Also part of, remember, all these that I'm playing are versions from this one, the original one.
Right, right.
From different countries.
Right.
This one I bought in France many, many years ago.
Wow.
When I was still touring there. This is called a pentatonic tuning.
Okay.
This is also based on the kalimba.
Right.
You can see it's got the same shape.
Same idea with the notes going out.
Yes.
From a low.
Except the tuning is different.
Gotcha.
This is called a pentatonic tuning.
So 5 notes.
Yes, yes.
In a scale.
It also has that mute.
Oh, you got holes on the bottom?
Yeah.
Ah.
Going home, I'm going home, I'm going home to Africa. Beautiful faces, beautiful children, smiling faces in Africa. I'm going home, I'm going home, I'm going home to Africa. Africa, whoa, 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 Africa, whoa, 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 Africa, Africa, whoa, 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 Africa, whoa, 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 Africa, Africa, sing with me. Africa, whoa, whoa, Africa, whoa, 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 Africa. Africa, whoa, whoa, Africa, Africa. Again, Africa, whoa, whoa, Africa, whoa, 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 Africa. One more time. Whoa, 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 Africa. So this is a song.
Brilliant. Amazing what you can do with 5 notes, eh?
With 5 notes, yeah. It's a pentatonic scale.
And that's another one of your songs?
Yeah, this is one of my songs. Basically, it's a dedication to all musicians who were living in exile.
Okay.
You know, those who went to live abroad during the days of apartheid. So I would imagine how they were missing home.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And as we got closer to 1994, people were thinking, how are we going home? The beautiful skies, beautiful children, smiling faces, and all that. It's kind of a sad song, you know?
Happy sad, right?
It's a happy sad song, yeah. So
which is what African music's so good at,
yes,
right?
Yes. So that song is basically based on, the musicians who are in exile, but also myself also, you know.
Yeah.
But
you weren't in exile?
No, I wasn't in exile.
Yeah.
I chose not to.
Yeah.
So, and also, for me also, it's a beautiful song. You know, we get tired of traveling around the world. I mean, I've been traveling for more than 18 years, almost every country in the world. So that would also be the kind of song when I'm tired of being in Copenhagen or in Germany or in France. It's like, oh gosh, 2 more days. Africa, oh, Africa, you know, going back home, tired of all the cheese and that they're serving you in Europe, you know, it's always just cheese, like Switzerland and those places. You know the breakfasts and all that.
Oh man,
the cheese all the time.
In France, you can smell it down the road.
You can smell it down the road. You just cheese all the time.
No bunnies there.
No bunnies there, you know. So yeah, then you really miss your poppin' place.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Yeah. And they do the cheese beautiful, you know, I mean, but different ways and everything. But the fact remains, it's still cheese, you know.
Exactly.
So if you come back home, you say, if ever I see a cheese again when I come to South Africa.
Cheeses,
yeah. And then, yes, another one. It's the final one.
Yeah, you left the big boy for that.
There are many of them. This one is called a Sanza. Okay. I bought it from a woman at the flea market. I think this is quite old. It could be over 100 years old, I think. Or maybe they painted that way to make it look old, exactly. You know?
But the Sanza's originally Mozambican or East Africa?
No, East Africa. Okay. East Africa, yeah. But, I don't know if they painted it to look old or maybe it is old. But when I look at the notes, you can see that it's quite old.
Yeah.
Because the tune stuck in, you know, it's hard to tune them to move these notes. So they've been in position for many, many years. Yeah. So this is the original tuning, you know. For me, it sounds like a blues scale when I play it. I wrote a song for a movie that was called The Horse Whisperer, of a woman who came from England and she came to tame the horses in the Namib Desert. Okay. The horses that were left by the Germans in the early century of 20th century.
Right.
They built like a whole town, you know, and they brought their horses with them. But over the years, as years went by, they started realizing that the sand dunes were actually closing in, you know. So they had to just abandon the town. But they left the horses there in the desert. Wild stallions in the Namib, in Namibia, running wildly.
And surviving.
Learning to survive in the desert, you know. And you would hear the horses in the background, you know. Namibia. Whoa, Namibia. Na 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 na. hear the sound of the horses. Whoa, Namibia. Ne 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 hi-yo. So it's got a blues.
I was just going to say it's different to the others in that those are very clearly major.
Yeah.
And major seventh is in there, major third. Yeah. This has got a bit of both. It's ambivalent.
Yes, it's ambivalent. That's what it is.
And that seems to be typical. The more north you go in Africa,
the more north you go in Africa. Yeah. You see, so the tuning here, and I can't tune it because it's so it's rusted stuff.
Fuss.
Yeah, but I like it as it is. Yeah. And the way it was made, you can see the person who made this thing really took his time. And it also has a hole at the back here. And then, of course, this chain is probably just to hang it up the wall. It's a bit cracked there also, but it makes it look and very authentic,
Rustic, man.
Yeah, awesome. Very rustic, yeah. So, yeah.
Fantastic. So, I mean, do you think would you say your first love is the Mbira, the Kalimba, or
well, it's the first instrument. It's the first instrument that I started out with, It's the very first instrument that I started out with was actually this one. This was the first one. Because I remember I was working at Koinur and I ordered one from Andrew Tracy, and his wife, she came to the shop to deliver this one for me.
Okay.
And there's another one. This is the soprano, and I think that one is the alto.
Okay.
Which I don't remember. Yeah, you can see.
Fabulous, yeah.
I don't remember if I bought it from them. I'm sure I bought it from them. Like for instance, I'll give you a little lesson, for instance. Like if you play these two notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's this one, then the red one. 2, 3, red. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll only give you 4 notes. Try that. It's your first lesson. Just keep it there. So I'm going to accompany you with this one. So there you go, man. Now you see,
hey, man.
Yeah. So I'm playing exactly the same notes that you are playing there.
Just right, because it's tuned in a different key.
Tuned in a different structure.
Gotcha. So this is the alto, that's the soprano.
This is the soprano, yeah, something like that. This bow is the original sand bow.
Okay.
From the Kalahari. And the person who gave me this one many years ago, unfortunately he passed on and he was buried yesterday. Yeah. And his name was Kubi. He was well respected in his community around the world. We used to travel together to London, Germany, promoting Zen culture, music and food and stuff like that.
Oh, sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah.
So he was kind of a mentor to you in a way.
To me. Yeah, I've learned a lot from him. So the bow is quite an interesting instrument because what it is, when you make this particular instrument, you take a branch of a tree while it's still green or wet, you know, certain length. This is about almost a meter long, I think. And then you've got to bend it over to get its shape and tie a piece of string here, another piece of string there to hold this shape. So you'd leave it in the sun to dry up naturally. You know?
And that's how it keeps the shape.
It keeps the shape. And then after a week or so, when it's completely dry, you remove the string and then you put a different string in, like this one. You can see they've made a hole there, and they've made a hole, well, this one hasn't got a hole there, but he's got a hole in there where he ties it here, goes all the way, and in that hole they would just put it through there and just tie it up. And then in the center they put you can see they're separating the string.
It's got a brace into two different notes.
Two, yeah. So
like a Matwayani has that.
Yes, exactly.
But Uhadi doesn't.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah, this is the original, authentic Khoisan Malbo that they play. Yeah. So I remember when I asked this old man what's the name of the instrument, and I said to him, he said to me, it's called Itsuma. So I thought, oh, that's a beautiful name. That, you know, it's got it sounds very mystical, you know, it's got a great meaning. I could use that name, you know, when I do workshops in schools and talk about Ikuma. So when I asked him afterwards, what does Ikuma mean? He said, nah, as die ding, hy maak net kum.
That's funny.
Just so funny. Yeah. But it is a spiritual instrument because they play it all the time. They use it for many situations. I mean, in the evenings, you see them lie on their backs and they play the instrument, and they go like in a trance when they play this instrument, you know.
And is it pretty much a solo instrument, or you can find just one person playing it
at a time? You find sometimes 2, 3, 4 people playing
together.
Yeah.
Difficult to tune.
Yeah, difficult to tune. Yeah. But they tune it by moving this string, you know, this one in the center, right, the marquee,
right, the brace,
but there is no particular tuning that you can say. No, the tuning of the mouthbow is this. It's not. There isn't.
So I've seen a sand mouthbow that doesn't have a brace.
Yes.
It seems to be smaller, that one. Are they related?
It depends. Yeah, they are related. I mean, some people put a brace in the center, others don't.
Gotcha.
I made one. I started making one a few weeks ago from bamboo. So I decided I want to make a bow because I've got one of these historical books where I saw in Swaziland the Swati bow was shaped like this one, you know. Mm-hmm. And I'm absolutely sure. I think in that picture this was bamboo. So I said I'm going to attempt to make my own bow based on the Swati, you know.
Okay.
A single string with no bridge on it.
Right.
So
and the body is, so you've got a smaller piece inside a big piece.
Right. So
what's the reason for that?
Well, this is the body itself.
Okay.
Right. So it was much longer, about this long. So I cut it, and then I took from another bamboo tree, a young one. You can still see it's slightly green, you know. And I pushed this one all the way through and then bent it to get this shape.
Interesting.
And I tied a string all the way, like I explained to you earlier.
Yeah.
On. And I left it like, you know, by the windowsill for about a week or so, 1.5 weeks, until it dried up completely. And I took that string off, and then it had this shape.
Gotcha.
And then I tried different strings that can resonate like that one, the one I played earlier on. And I couldn't find the right one. But then the other day when I came here to the house, I was lucky. I was just searching here, and I found the proper string. And so I tied that one up, as you can see here. I first put it in there and tied it up. This was a few days ago. I left it for a few days. I wasn't happy until I got this string. And I fixed this one over here and drilled a hole there, right there, just to put it through. And then on this side again, I've drilled a hole, if you see there, inside the bamboo. And I've drilled another hole on the side. So I brought the string all the way from that side, pushed it through the hole, and then twisted it.
Gotcha.
And you put this against the ground, you know, you force it so to get the key.
Right.
To tighten it.
And that's when
so that it, and then once I've got the sound that I want, I just keep tying, you know, until I get it. So So that's
beautiful.
You can hear the overtones.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to try and get a guitar tuner and tie it over here so I could actually tune it, you know, the way I want it, you know, in any key. But for now, I think I'm quite happy with.
It sounds great.
With this
it might be difficult with a guitar tuner because I've put guitar tuners on my uhadi but my koyani is made out of bamboo, which is unusual.
Yeah, that's unusual.
But I'm too scared to put a tuner on there because it's hollow, you know. I'm probably going to mess it up.
Yeah.
Although this one's thicker, so maybe it's going to be okay.
No, it's going to be okay.
Your career has been so multi-layered, you know, because you've taken and studied very deeply, you know, traditional music, but you've taken that and you've mixed it with all sorts of things.
Yes.
I mean, you've done everything from, you know, tech, you know, like electronica to jazz to rock to, I mean, you've kind of done it all.
Yes, I've done it all. Drum and bass and all that, you know.
You were part of that out meltdown. What the Robert Trunz thing?
Robert Trunz, yes.
Yeah, international.
I was signed to that label.
Yeah.
I was signed to that label.
Yeah.
In fact, when I was working at Koino stores, he came when Johannesburg had its first Arts Alive festival, and he brought Flora Purim and Ayato Morera.
Right.
They were signed to his label.
That's right.
To play for the Arts Alive.
Yeah.
And he came to the Koino store where I was working, and he had a cassette of me. I don't know where he had bought it. So he came in and he says, "Are you Pops Mohamed?" I said, "Yes." So he said, "I got your music here, and I'd like you to come to the festival to watch this guy, Ayato Morera, you know, great percussionist, and Flora Purim, his wife." So I said, "No, that's fantastic." So I went that evening, and I checked out the show, and then afterwards I took him around to Kippies, and I showed him the musicians there, and that's where he saw Moses Muleko, and was very impressed by Moses' playing on the piano. So yes, we became close, and then before they left to go back to the UK, he came to see me at the store, or I don't remember very well, but he said to me, "Would you like to be part of the Melt label? I'm starting a new label, and I want you to be part of it. But then you'll have to quit your job where you're working because you're coming to England." So I didn't waste time, you know. I quit the job, and I ended up going to Robert's house in England, in Worthing. It was outside London. So from there, I recruited musicians from South Africa, like Busi Mhlongo, Moses Muleko, Sipho Gumede, Zim Noana, and all those musicians, you know, just calling them up, you know. So Amampondo as well, and all those guys. So, and then that's when he said to me, "When are you going to do your solo album?" And that's when I said to him, "No, I'd love to do a solo album, my album for the label, but I want to go to the Kalahari and record the San Bushmen and use their music and their samples, and I want to fuse it, you know." And for him, that was like, wow, this guy is far out, and they found it very excited, like saying like, "Yes, let's do that." You know. So
you set off to the Kalahari with some recorders and
and the whole crew. Ben Watkins was there. He's known as Juno Reactor.
I know Ben. I worked with Ben.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
So Ben and Norma, Robert and his wife, and Dick Jewell, he was a camera guy, and I don't know who else. And we all went on that tour, you know, fully equipped and everything.
Wow.
And I met the Sand people for the first time, you know.
Okay.
We stayed there for a few days, we recorded them and everything. I went to the States and to record Ancestral Healing with a friend of mine in New York. And I think thereafter I went back to England, where I had to put a band together. So I put a band together there with the help of some of the musicians there. And we went into Milestone Studios at Angel train station. Great studio, and that's where we recorded How Far Have We Come.
Okay.
All the samples of Sand Bushmen.
Right.
So on the cover of How Far Have We Come, you'll see the face of a bushman there, the old man. He's the person who was buried yesterday. Yeah.
Wow.
So, it was quite amazing when we did the album. It was a full-on production. So many musicians, great musicians that we put together.
That's just fascinating to me that you have so much fusion.
So that's where the fusion actually came, the idea of fusing, you know.
But it's also your history, right? I mean, it's sort of didn't just start because you grew up playing shadows, right? And
Yes,
then you went
shadows.
into that, and then so it was obvious that at some point everything.
Yeah.
So what do you say to people? Because I come across this sometimes on my channel, trying to show different instruments from around the world, and sometimes people get offended because they feel that the instrument should be traditional and shouldn't move. You shouldn't mess with it.
No.
What do you say to that?
No, it's not that you're bastardizing the music, because you're enhancing that instrument. You're taking it into the 20th century and using modern platforms, but still using the same instrument.
Yeah.
And I think by using these instruments, it encourages young musicians or people who want to become great producers one day to learn to play one of these instruments, because a lot of young people were very influenced by my music for the fact that I've been mixing these indigenous instruments,
And that way you can keep the instrument alive into the future.
Yes, you can.
Otherwise it's...
Yes, because if you're going to keep it pure, children of today, new age children, don't want to listen to pure, undiluted, music like the demonstrations I did. For them, you play one cycle, they say, yes, I get that, what happens next,
Yeah.
They want to feel something that they can relate to.
Exactly.
And the only way you could reach out to them in order for them to be interested in the instrument is to play the music that they like.
Yeah.
And then you add the instrument on that, whether it's hip-hop or what, and then they'll go like, wow, this is pretty cool, man. I'd love to play that instrument,
Plus, that's the very way that even these instruments, even these ancient instruments developed. That's why they exist, is because someone said, oh, I'm going to change that. I'm going to do this with it.
Exactly.
That's why they exist.
Yeah, that's why they exist.
It's weird to me that some people are like, no, let's put that in a museum and don't touch it.
Yeah.
You're doing more for those ancient instruments than the people sitting in the library who just want to put it in a box.
Yeah, you see? So that's the main thing, I have a hard time with that when people say that you bastardizing the instrument. You're not bastardizing the instrument.
You're making it live.
You're making it live.
You're giving it breath.
My boo, yeah. My boo, yeah. My boo, yeah. Africa. Hey, mama, way. Hey, mama, way. Hey, mama, way. Hey, mama, way. Kukule tuna lady Zimbabwe Soweto. Kukule tuna lady Zimbabwe Soweto. Hey, mama, hey, mama, hey, mama, hey, mama, hey, mama, hey, mama, way. Hey, mama, hey, mama, hey, mama, hey, mama, hey, mama, hey, mama, way.
Awesome. That's so cool. Well,
Yes.
Pops Mohamed, this has been an amazing sit down. So fascinating.
Thank you.
And no, thank you, man. Thank you so much for agreeing to do
having me
this.
on your channel.
No, it's been really, really fantastic. And, you know, I just urge everybody out there to go and check out the career of Pops Mohamed. And he's got quite the discography out there. Fascinating. Just what a versatile body of work.
Yeah, I've got an amazing album out on Bandcamp.
Okay.
That I've just put out, and I've also put out a hip-hop track of a young girl called Lakshmi.
Okay.
Yeah, she's really cool. So I work with young hip-hop artists as well, you know.
Fantastic.
So yes, people should go and check me out on Bandcamp.
What's the name of the album on Bandcamp?
Arosa. Arosa is, when we were touring in Switzerland with Andreas Vollenweider's ex, former guitar player Max Lesser.
Okay.
We went to this town on the Alps, you know, on the Swiss Alps.
Yeah.
There's little towns, you know.
Yeah.
And there was this place called Arosa, which really was a fascinating place.
Yeah.
In the evenings, you could hear the people blowing these Alp horns.
Oh, wow. That's
across
amazing.
The Alps, you know, the mountains, like, and then it echoes, and then far away someone else would be blowing the Alp horn on that side, and you hear that echo.
Fascinating.
And then when the wind blows, they have these chimes on the windows, you know, on by the doors, and you hear the chimes and all that, you know. So I was really impressed with that place, so I wrote this track, which is called Arosa.
So check it out.
Yes.
And
Definitely.
check everything out that Pops has done. It's way worth your while.
Check it out, guys. I trust you. It's music for the mind, body, and soul. And thank you for having me, guys.
Thank you, Pops.
Much respect.
Respect to you, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.